Welcome, everybody, to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, we talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. And in that light, I'm always curious. I'm scouring the globe looking for people doing interesting things on the margins, helping others, making a difference. And I wanted to bring those conversations and share it with you. So today we have Blaine Oelkers, and he's going to be talking to us about Chief Results Officer, which is quite interesting. And it's going to be talking about habits, the 30-minute hour, and productivity. So I'll welcome Blaine to the show. Welcome.
Hey, Chris, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here, share with the listeners. And like I say, I'm on the margins. I never thought of myself, hey, I'm out on the margins. But I think some of the frameworks that we'll talk about today, like the 30-minute hour, how to get an hour's worth of stuff done in just 30 minutes, kind of compressed time, or the 21-second habits, like how to create new habits in 21 seconds, not 21 days. Maybe some of those things are a little bit on the margin. So happy to be here, and also thankful for you for being kind of a beacon of financial literacy, but also helping people kind of up level. So I appreciate you. These podcasts are a lot of work, and so thank you for all the work you put into these things.
Oh yeah. So tell us more about yourself, your background, what you do, and we'll get started.
Yeah. So I had a couple of moments of dawning comprehension where kind of the light bulb goes off over your head and you're never quite the same. And so I was born in New Jersey and had a good, nice upbringing in high school and all that. But when I went to college, I went to Purdue University and studied computer science there. And that's where I had my first kind of moment of dawning comprehension. And I had sent away, I saw this ad, and I've kind of been, maybe like most of the listeners, a seeker of knowledge. How can I do better, be better? And I saw this ad for an audio cassette. So I'm kind of dating myself. I went to college in the 80s, but I sent away for this audio cassette, and it was an abridged reading of the book Think and Grow Rich by Earl Nightingale. Now later, this guy Earl Nightingale became one of my mentors, but I read this book, and so Think and Grow Rich, and so I bought the book after listening to the tape, but I realized it wasn't just like financial riches. It talks about that, but it was riches of any kind, which could be health, relationships, spiritually, but anything that you desire. And I realized, there at college that I came up with a little phrase called WYTAYBA. What you think about, you bring about, and that I could direct my thoughts and attention towards the things I wanted. Now, I couldn't control circumstances, but I could control my reaction to the circumstances, and I could kind of flood my mind with the things I wanted, and those things would take hold. So I had this, that was that first moment of dawning comprehension that my thoughts could play a big role in my own life, and what you think about, you bring about. And so then the second moment of dawning comprehension, which led me to this career I'm in now, is that I came home from a business trip. So I was a computer scientist. I was working for a company called Rational Software Corporation, and I came back from this long business trip. And my son Bo, he was like 1 year old at the time, and I got back and he's like kind of giving me the cold shoulder. I'm like, hey Beth, what's wrong with Bo? Is he like sick or something going on? She goes, no. You were gone so long, he kind of forgot who you were. And I was like, whoa, that kind of hit me like emotionally pretty hard. And so that night, I had this moment of dawning comprehension, and I made this, what I call clarifying decision, that no matter what I had to do, I was going to become a work from home dad, that I wasn't going to let that moment ever happen to me again. And so it did take me a year, but I started a couple of companies. And a year later, I broke free from my job and I became kind of this work from home dad. And that was 27 years ago. Now the kids are grown and out of the nest. But what happened is that critical moment, that moment of dawning comprehension, that clarifying decision led me on this path to kind of figure out, as I was running these companies, I had more time, a lot more time to myself. And I realized that I'm on the planet to help people take control of their lives by taking control of themselves. And so I basically started helping people get results. Basically, I call it personal implementation. So I kind of became an expert at personal implementation, getting yourself to do the things you know you should do. And so I started working with a lot of mastermind groups, business owners, dentists, physicians, attorneys, and they started calling me their chief results officer. And I go, hey, I like that. So I looked around, nobody else was using that term. So I went to the US Patent and Trademark Office and I said, hey, can I get the registered trademark? So I think like 6 months and a few $100s, but I got the R with the circle. So now I am, America's only chief results officer, basically helping people kind of, get stuff done, that they know they should be getting done, but they're not. So that's, I don't know if you wanted that much of a backstory, but that is who I am and how I got here.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And, I love this where you can redefine yourselves. You can use your wording and your language to, redefine who you are. You're not constrained. So I really love it when people, say things like, chief results officer. So one thing is, what's interesting is I'm always looking for how to get more done in less time and more efficient, more impact, more power. So you talk about this 30-minute hour, which is interesting. You can compress everything in 30 minutes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so most people, when you talk about results, that they're overwhelmed. And the biggest thing that would help them would be if they could compress time, right? So, is there a way to get an hour's worth of stuff done in just 30 minutes? So that's what I call the 30-minute hour. And there is a way to do that. And actually, when I was at home, working from home in 2009, one of the companies I started, which is the one I'm still running today, is called Self-Fluence. And Self-Fluence is the art and science of influencing yourself, or I also like to say the power you already have to influence yourself. So all the frameworks that I teach, like the 30-minute hour, it's something that there's nothing new for you to learn or do. Like, you know how to do it already. I'm just going to put some focus on it. We're going to just shine some light on it, so you remember, how to do it, and you could do it every single day. But you already know how to do it, and so this idea of the 30-minute hour is so powerful that I have to make sure that Chris and Blaine and the listeners are going to use it for good and not for evil. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let's say that you and we have 4 30-minute hours in a row. So we basically got 4 hours worth of stuff done, but we got that done in just 2 hours. Now that leaves us 2 hours of guilt-free time for ourselves to not work on our business. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, physicians, dentists, when I teach them this framework, which they already know how to do, they do it, but then they just do more work or more production or more hours, and that's not what I want you to do. That's the evil side. But the good side is, and the question I'm going to ask you, and I'll answer the question first, is if you had 2 guilt-free hours of time, what would you do? So for me, I like family, so I probably reach out to my kids. One lives in Denmark, but one is local, so I do that. I love my Peloton bike I have here in my home office. I probably take a little Peloton ride. I also like the outdoors, and I'm in Phoenix, so hiking is really good there. Go for a hike. I do like to connect with old friends. I feel like I don't do that enough, so I probably reach out to some old friends, and then I work from home, so I do like the good old-fashioned power nap. So I probably take 15 minutes for a power nap. So that's my guilt-free 2 hours. Chris, what about you? What would you do with 2 guilt-free hours?
Me, I would spend more time with family, do more reading, do more thinking, journaling, just, reflection. That's where I would spend it.
Nice. Perfect. All right. So you listeners out there, I want you to write something down, because we're going to show you how to get the time to do that. And my hope, my desire for you is that you'll put more of those things back into your day, because a lot of times you get so busy, you push those things out. And, at the end of life, so one of the things I studied people at the very end of life, and they always, everything they say, that they wish they would have done falls into just 2 categories. And one is they wish they would have had more memorable moments with the people they love. Now, when I ask deeper, like the people they love, it is family, but it's also like peers, maybe staff that work with them for a really long time. But memorable moments with the people they love, that was one. And then the second one was they say, I wish I would have had more impact with what I had learned in life. So memorable moments with loved ones and impact. So keep that in mind when you're choosing where to spend your time. Okay, back to this concept of the 30-minute hour. So there's a day, Chris, there's a day of the year. Now, some people, this happens a couple times a year, but there's a day where your productivity soars. And it's a day where the person, you get 3 to 10 times more stuff done than your ordinary day. Now that's 3x to 10x. Now we're only looking for 2x, so this is going to be easy. But do you know that day of the year where people get 3 to 10 times more things done than their ordinary or normal day?
I'd probably say right after the new year. Right.
Okay, so people are motivated after the year, but that's not the day of the super high productivity. And so I'm going to share with you, and this is going to be very self-evident, and you're going to realize that you have the ability to have 30-minute hours every single day, not on just this day, but actually that day where people are 3 to 10 times more effective and have more productivity than an ordinary day is actually the day before vacation. Okay, so think about that. The day before vacation, people are 3 to 10 times more productive than any other day of the year, right? And so what I did is I studied the day before vacation and people do what they do on the day before vacation. And so I whittled it down to just 3 things, and I created a little acronym called PDF. Now I named it PDF because that's easy to remember. People say, hey, email me the PDF or print out the PDF, right? So it's an easy acronym. So when you think of the 30-minute hour, think day before vacation, and then think PDF. Now, PDF stands for plan, delegate, focus. And what I want to do is I want to unpack each one of those. Plan, delegate, focus. I want to unpack each one of those so that you can put that back into your day, your ordinary day, and have these 30-minute hours. So when you think about planning, so on the day before vacation, people tend to plan that day out. Plan it out, sometimes down to the minute, if not at least down to the hour. So you can start to have, some 30-minute hours if you'll just do what I call NDP, next day planning. So never let a day end without planning the next one. So, before you go to bed, just plan out that next day. And the more you can plan it out, the better. Now, we know the world's going to come in and circumstances are going to slap you around a little bit, and you're probably not going to get everything you want done. But having a plan, you will get significantly more done. Then if you look at the day before vacation, people wake up 30 to 60 minutes earlier than their normal day. So that if you want a 30-minute hour for the first hour, just wake up 30 minutes early. Not to say you want to do that every day, but that's one, that's one method. The other thing about the planning is that on the day before vacation, if you think back, you had a very clear vision of this stuff has to get done, right? We have to drop off the dog at boarding or the dog will die, right? So you have this very clear vision about what needs to happen. And so bring that back to your ordinary every single day. And the other thing is, from a planning standpoint, is that you become a master at the 80-20 rule. Now, most people, they understand the 80-20 rule that, 20% of what you do produces 80% of your results, also called the Pareto principle. They understand that, but on their ordinary day, they're not using it. But on the day before vacation, you're like, look, this is something that gets results. I've got to do these things, right? These are the vital few that I have to do. And then there's the trivial many, all these other little things, they can just wait, right? They can wait till after vacation. And so I call that proactive procrastination. And so one of the ways I buy back time is in the morning when I look at my to-do list. Let's say I've got 10 things on there. I'm looking for the 20. What are the 2 things that are going to make the biggest difference? And I'm going to do those first. And then those other 8, I'm looking at those and I'm saying, what could be pushed out to tomorrow? Okay, if I don't get that done today, it's not the end of the world. Push it out. And I push you out, kind of proactively procrastinate on as much of my to-do list as possible, so then I can focus in on the higher value items, right? So that's plan, that's the P. D stands for delegate. So what happens is that, on the day before vacation, people think who before the do, right? You think who before do, meaning you think who could do this before you go do this, right? So on the day before vacation, if I have a bunch of errands that I have to run, I'm kind of asking my wife, hey, are you able to do these? Or she says, I'm going out to do this. I said, great, can you do these 3 other things? Well, now by her taking that, by me delegating that to her, I just created, 30 extra minutes in my day. So delegation is really big, and deferring is also really, really big. Now, where I get my most, 30-minute hours from is F, and F stands for focus. So we got plan, delegate, focus. You have on the day before vacation, somehow inside of you, you muster up this like fierce focus and you think about the day before vacation. First of all, let's think about all the things that don't happen on the day before vacation, right? So you don't have idle chit chat. You're not chasing shiny objects. You're not going on the internet surfing around. You're not lost in social media. You're not lost in news media. You're not involved in long conversations. You're like on task, on point, right? So that's because you have this fierce focus. And so bring that back, into kind of your ordinary day. Now, the great thing that happens on the day before vacation is that, let's see, do you remember or do you know of the very first James Bond movie? You know, it was in 1963.
I've watched them, but I don't recall which was the first one.
Okay, so the very first movie, James Bond, 1963, was a movie called Dr. No. And the reason I bring that up is because on the day before vacation, that word is used 10 to 20 times more than it is on an ordinary day. So people are like, hey, Blaine, can you do this? Blaine, can you do this? No, I'm going on vacation. I can't accept your stuff, right? So if you can become Dr. No and bring that back into your normal day, make no your default response. And if you need something like a little bit of a hack for that, just say, hey, I've got to check my schedule. Or if your day's all planned out because you did the next day planning, you're less likely to say yes to something else. And what happens many times when you say yes to other people's requests is that then you have the 90-minute hour. Now, the 90-minute hour is when someone asks for an hour of your time and it takes 90 minutes. So you lose time. Or someone says, oh, could I just have 10 minutes of your time? And it takes 20 or 30, right? So using that power of no, make that your default response. That'll help you. What also happens with your focus, people on the day before vacation, they tend to stay on schedule more. So they have a little bit of a structured day. So I'm saying plan out your day more. And then they're staying on schedule and they're using timers. So all day long, I use timers. So if I'm going to do like email or check social media, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do that for 15 minutes, right? So I'll tell Siri, to set a timer for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. And I'm using timers throughout my day to keep me focused, right? To maintain that kind of day before vacation focus. So using timers. And then where I personally get the most 30-minute hours is that on the day before vacation, people become tasking masters. I mean, this is a thing of beauty, the amount of things that you get done through tasking. Now, tasking, there's 3 types of tasking. There's single tasking, multitasking, and batch tasking. So single tasking, that's actually where I personally get the most 30-minute hours. And single tasking is when you do one task that pretty much only you can do or you do best, and you do it with sole focus, with no distractions and no noises, no rings, dings, and bings, nothing from the outside world. So for example, for me, I write a lot of articles. So I can get an hour's worth of article writing done in 30 minutes if I will completely shut out the outside world. So that maybe my phone goes in airplane mode, I turn off all the screens. I only have the one screen I'm typing in, all the rings, dings, bings, notifications, everything's turned off. Sometimes people even turn off their Wi-Fi just to make sure they're not interrupted. But having that single-minded focus is so powerful. And initially, when you first do it you're going to get the monkey mind. All these other ideas are going to, oh, don't forget to do this. Oh, don't forget to do that. Just have a piece of paper there, write that stuff down, put it to the side, and get right back to your focus, your single focus thing that you're working on. And what will happen is over time, your mind, instead of kind of being the lantern all over the place with the light, it'll be like the laser, and you get better and better at this single focus mode. So I can get a lot done, and every day I do this deep work. I do this deep work kind of single focus time every single day. It's my favorite time of the day, and I get the most done kind of in the shortest amount of time. So that's single tasking. Now, the second one, multitasking, gets a bad rap sometimes, but it's when you can do two things at the same time without sacrificing the quality of either one, right? So like, I like to batch is the next one, the last one. I like to batch up my phone calls and do them when I'm out driving around and running errands, or I'm out in the car, right? So like I can drive a car, and with a hands-free phone, I can talk on the phone and drive the car and do both of those things, with high quality, right? I can ride the Peloton and listen to Chris's podcast. I can do both those things at high quality. I like a synergy. Another multitask is I love exercise and I love my family. So we taught the family to play tennis. So if we go out and do 30 minutes of tennis, I got the exercise and the family time in, right? So really like an hour's worth of stuff just in 30 minutes. So looking for that synergy. And then the last one is batch tasking. And batch tasking is where you just batch things together, right? So day before vacation, you have 3 errands. You're not going to run an errand, come back, run an errand. No, you go out and you batch them, you run them all together. Anything you batch will get done faster. If you batch phone calls, you're going to be more productive. If you batch your computer work, if you batch, checking emails, you can even batch interruptions. And so what happens on the day before vacation, I noticed that people, especially if they're in a work environment, they would batch their interruptions. And what they would do is they said, look, I'm coming in, I'm starting at 8 o'clock. From 8 to 11, I'm going to be in single tasking mode. Don't come in here. Don't. I'm not here. Let me get my work done. And then at 11, I'll come out of the office, and then let's do 20 minutes. And you guys ask me any questions you had for the whole morning, right? So they kind of almost like an office hours concept, but they batched all the interruptions, into that 20-minute period. My wife and I, we used to text each other during the day a lot, and now we use a shared note on our iPhones where you can put stuff in there, both of us can see it, but it doesn't have a ring, ding, bing in your face kind of a thing. So that's a kind of single tasking, multitasking, and batch tasking. And kind of the overarching thing when I study the day before vacation, myself included, is that what happens is you release your inner perfectionist. Right? You release your inner perfectionist, and done is better than perfect, right? And hey, if this thing's only going to be 80% as good as if I did, it's still going to get done. That's what's important, right? So when you think of the 30-minute hour, think of the day before vacation, PDF, plan, delegate, focus. So I don't know if that was too deep for you, but a lot of practical stuff in there so people can kind of jump right in and start having these 30-minute hours right away.
Yeah, no, that's quite interesting. And then one thing is you talk about 21-second habits, create new habits in 21 seconds and not 21 days. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's the same concept, that I was talking about with self-fluence, that you already know how to do it, right? Like the 30-minute hour, that basically was just, the day before vacation. Like you already know how to do it. So a lot of times people say, I'm not that good at habits, Blaine. I can't keep habits. And then, especially when we're doing big kind of workshops and stuff, I'll ask people, how many people here have, brushed their teeth in the last 24 hours? And every hand goes up, right? Occasionally some dentures in there, right? But every hand goes up. And then I said, well, how long have you had that habit? Of brushing your teeth at least once a day. And it's decades for many people, right? And so it isn't, the idea of this 21-second habit, first of all, is to realize that you are a habit master, and all you need to do is to tap into that mastery that you already have, right? So I'll tell a little story. My wife, luckily she does not have this anymore, but she used to have nearly daily migraine headaches. And so the doctor said, look, Beth, here's this log, this headache log. You've got to fill this out every day. And it was like, what did you eat? What's the barometric pressure? What do you think the triggers could be? So it's all this information. And she could do it for a couple of days, and then she would lose the log. Then she'd forget to do it. And she just couldn't get the habit of doing that. And then one day we were kind of watching each other in the bathroom and in the mirror and brushing our teeth. And she was brushing her teeth. And in that moment realized that, and here's the first key to the 21-second habit, is that she could link an existing habit that she's already a habit master at, with no willpower required, to her new habit. So she took the headache log, put it underneath the toothbrush and the toothpaste, and now she's at 2 minutes. The dentist says brush for 2 minutes. She's 2 minutes twice a day. So she had 4 minutes a day with that headache log, and she went about 90 days in a row filling that thing out. And that helped the doctors, and now she might get a migraine every couple of months at the most. But the key there is that she habit linked it to something she was already a habit master at, right? So there's so many things you could habit link to that would allow you to basically within 21 seconds or instantly create that new habit. And so, for example, the second key though is that in order to get yourself to do it, you want to do, so the first thing is linking, and the second thing is urge surfing. And so if you can surf some kind of an urge that you have to help you to get you to do the habit, then it's even more powerful. So in my wife's case, like she didn't like that gritty feeling in her teeth, like she had to brush her teeth, but she wasn't allowed to brush her teeth till she started to fill out that log. In my case, I had 2 habits that I wanted to start every single day. One was I wanted to do this Bible app, and the other one was I wanted to take a mind shower. So like people wash their body every day, but I wanted to like wash my mind. I wanted to do a meditation, and I wanted to kind of like just clear my brain in the morning and kind of set the right intention for the day. So I said to myself, okay, Blaine, what do you do every day? No willpower required. What's the first thing you do every morning? Smartphone. So every morning, the first thing I do is I open up my smartphone. So what I did is I just moved all the apps off my home screen, and I just put the 2 apps there, the Bible app and an app called Headspace. And then so when I open my phone every morning, I have to do those 2 apps before I'm allowed to touch anything else. So I have it linked to the opening of the phone. And today was day like 680 days in a row I've done this. But when I open my phone, I have to do those things first. And I'm surfing the urge to want to touch all the other buttons in my phone, right? My son's in Denmark. He might text me in the middle of the night. I want to see, how are things going with orders that have come in, what's going on in the news, what's going on with my friends. I mean, I have all these, notifications waiting for me in the morning, but I'm not allowed to do those until I do those other things first. So I'm surfing that urge to want to do that. So just adding those 2 things, right? Habit linking and then surfing some urge can allow you to kind of create habits instantly. And there's things you do more than once a day, like brushing your teeth. There's things you do once a day, like getting dressed, driving to work. So there's all kinds of things throughout your day that you can habit link to, and then just look for the urge, in that other habit that you're doing. What kind of urge could you surf to kind of get you to do that thing?
Yeah, it's been really so habit linking, and then which is very powerful. I know you gave a TEDx talk, and so I recommend the users to go there. And I know a lot of the audience would, you've given a lot of insights. They may want to reach out to you on social media, connect with you, visit your website, contact you. How can they do that?
Yeah, let's just keep it real simple. And so I think the best thing is to opt in to see my TEDx talk. So you just go to Blaine TEDx, so BLAINE TEDx.com. And there you can opt in, you'll get my TEDx talk, and then we'll be connected. You can email me, you'll get links, you'll get a little bit of my story. But then, however I could serve you, I'd love to do it. I run some super results days, and basically I help people, like I said earlier, take control of, their lives by taking control of themselves.
Yeah, it was a fantastic discussion. I learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience learned. So be sure to check out Blaine's resources in the links and show notes. And so thanks so much, and we look forward to hearing out about your future success.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. And I'll leave you with this. The bad news is time flies. The good news, you're the pilot. So pilot well, my friends.